for many reasons. Well, today we are going to continue in this journey of looking at the life of Jesus. We are going to help you, and let me say this to you, that there are a lot of people that may not believe what you believe. That they may think that all this is kind of just silly, right? That you would wake up on Sunday morning and that you would actually get dressed and come to church and be a part of a community. They don't really understand many people. And what they see is me and you and how we handle life and what we do. And so I always want to encourage you and give you things to help people that maybe are skeptical, maybe that doubt, maybe more than you and I do, because let's be honest, we all have doubts in our life. We all have things that we wrestle with. Well, in this series, we're looking at questions, true, false questions, to help you understand some things, to give people opportunities to learn and move them a step closer. Because I know there's a lot of people that you love that are not in this room. There's a lot of people that you love that can be difficult at times. And what we are always trying to do is act more like Jesus and less like everyone else. And I know there are people in your life that you would love to encourage to be in heaven one day, but also to find hope and find peace and find healing and find all the things that we find in the Lord. And so today we're going to ask this question: Jesus is the only Jesus, true or false? What is Jesus? Jesus means that the Lord saves. The Lord saves. It's this idea of does he save or not? I think that's really the question, and that is this: Jesus is the only one that saves. So I kind of want to rephrase this today. Jesus, is that true or is that false? I think of great people. I think of great people in this world. A lot of times it always goes back to sports, right? When you look at the life of Michael Jordan, they said about Michael Jordan when he retired the first time, after winning 3 championships for the Chicago Bulls, they said things like that he is one of a kind, he is without peer, that there is no greater basketball player to ever play the sport. Now, some of you might disagree because of LeBron James. Come on in. Mamba mentality, right? With all of these, Kobe Bryant, all these people that you love, and Luka Doncic. Oh, my heart. Okay, and I think about him, but Michael Jordan very much was somebody that people revere. Then he came back and won another 3 just to prove to everybody how awesome he actually is, right? We look at the life of Tom Brady, although I don't like to look at him because my wife loves him. We'll talk about that later. But so deep down in my heart, I have some animosity towards that dude. But make no mistake, when that guy stepped away from the NFL, many people said he was the greatest quarterback of all time, the ultimate competitor, a champion. They said his Super Bowl titles may never be matched, the 7 of them that he won. That's a big deal, right? How about Nolan Ryan? Anybody ever heard of Nolan Ryan, this guy before the turn of the century? He was actually a Texas Ranger. Did you guys know that? How fun was that? This guy is known as the greatest pitcher to ever throw a ball in the world. In fact, his 5,000 strikeouts will never be broken. And did you know that he actually retired with 5,714 strikeouts? You know why that will never be broken? Because pitchers don't even last past 5 innings. Nolan Ryan would pitch the whole game. I mean, he would strike so many people out. The closest person to him is a guy named Randy Johnson. And 4,875 strikeouts. So nobody's going to catch Nolan Ryan. But today I want to look at something. We'll talk about great people. And what I would say to you today is we need to look at the life of Jesus. And was he somebody without peer? Was he somebody that was the greatest person? And why, if that is true, can we look at that and say without a shadow of a doubt that, yes, this is true? Well, today we're actually going to compare his life to 4 other spiritual leaders that are well known in this world, because I want to look, as we dive into some historical facts about these leaders, and compare them to the life of Jesus. Now, Jesus says this about his life: salvation is found in no one else. For there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved. So we're going to look at that. Is he the only one? Well, let's look at 5 well-known spiritual leaders of all time. The first guy, Confucius. You guys have heard of him, Confucianism. We're also going to look at the life of Buddha, which is Buddhism, right? You guys have all seen the Buddha, right? Number 3 is Muhammad. We'll look at the religion of Islam. We'll also look at Joseph Smith, many Mormons in the United States of America. I'll tell you why. And then we'll also look at the Jesus Christ and Christianity and Christ followers. We do not have Hinduism on here, and the reason is because even though they have a large following, there isn't one specific founder of Hinduism. In fact, they have a lot of Hindu teachers and spiritual gurus that all support this idea, but there are assorted gods, so we're not going to look at Hinduism, even though you'll find that a lot of Buddhists follow the Hindu religion. And so we're going to look at that. Well, what I'd like to do first here as we go through is that there were I want to look at the spiritual leaders and when they were born. And I want to show you how many followers that their religions actually have today. And again, all this you can find on Google, and if it's on Google, it's true. All right. Good. Okay. Just want to make sure. Tongue in cheek. Okay, good. Confucius, born in ancient China in 551 BC, 6.1 million followers today. All right. We also have Buddha. He was born in northern India in 563 BC. Original name was Siddhartha Gautama. Right? It's a difficult name to say, but that is his original name. 535 million people call themselves Buddhists in the world today. We also have Muhammad, right, born in Mecca, Arabia, now called Saudi Arabia, in 570 BC. He's the person from whom Islam took shape. Currently, there is 2 billion followers today, quite a large following. Then we have Joseph Smith, born in 1805 in Sharon, Vermont. He was the person that brought in this idea of Mormonism, known as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, has around 17 million followers, right? And then last but not least, Jesus Christ, born roughly 0 scholars say it was actually 4 to 5 BC before Christ, right? How could that happen? Well, scholars believe in the book of Matthew, it talks about how Jesus was born during the reign of King Herod. Well, scholars believe that King Herod actually died in 4 BC, shortly after the birth of Jesus Christ. And so this is why there's some debate on that and how the calendar worked out, but it's all based on the understanding of the early historians and the timeline that they feel like happened. This is why we kind of get this. 2.4 billion people consider themselves Christ followers in the world. Quite a large group of people. I set up a bar graph because I kind of like bar graphs. It makes me feel good. Back to my Excel days. Estimated number of followers by spiritual leader. As you can see, Jesus Christ in Christianity is the largest religion in the world. Second is the religion of Islam, which in fact by 2050 will be the largest if everything goes the same way in the world, but it's because it's based on how many children they have. I don't know if you know this, but when you are born into a family of Islam, you are very much ingrained in that, and the only way to get out of that is you die. And if you do get out and find a way out of that religion, your family could be persecuted. You lose all ability to buy and sell many times in those countries. In fact, they will tax you, and there's a lot of things that happen to, unfortunately, the people in that religion. It's a very difficult thing. So these are kind of some of the reasons why we see an increase. It has a lot to do with the amount of population that they have and the children they have. So today, though, what we're going to do is go through a list of questions and answers, and we're going to look at that life of Jesus as it relates to these other guys and give you some things to understand a little bit more about the impact of Jesus compared to some of these other people. So the first thing we're going to start with is, what are the teachings of these spiritual leaders. What do they actually say? Again, this is going to be a high level. There's a lot deeper things that you can find online, but we're going to give you just a brief synopsis of this today. So Confucius and his teachings. Buddha is called the wisest of the wise. Not Buddha. We're looking at Confucius right now. Called the wisest of the wise. You know that there's terms called Confucius says, right? You guys ever had a fortune cookie? You find out all the time what Confucius says. And if you love fortune cookies like me, he says a lot to me on a regular basis. Okay, good. He formed wise sayings called analects. Now, these analects is something that is put together in a book, and even Chinese kids still memorize these as part of their education in school. Now, he authored some, but most importantly, collected pearls of wisdom from other people. But Confucius did not try to connect people to a God, but rather wisdom to help people get along. And so Confucius' followers actually have fallen from a peak of about 300 million people to today less than 6 million. So Buddha, the second person I wanted to look at, is many of Buddha's teachings originally were taken from Hinduism, and some beliefs he took from Hinduism include reincarnation. Right? Don't step on a bug because that might be you. Right? There's a lot of that goes into this reincarnation. You do not know what you're going to come back as. It's all based on your works. There's also something called karma. You ever heard of karma? Like, what goes around comes around. You're going to get it, right? You do something wrong to somebody and get ready, be watching your back because that can happen as well. They also talk about meditation as a means of maturing the soul. His writings are in a huge volume, 12,800 pages long, is their book that has all of these sayings and all of these things. Did you know that our Holy Bible has anywhere from 1,200 to 1,400 words based on the text size, the translation, things like that. So this is a quite exhaustive look into Buddhism. They have four noble truths. And this is that life is suffering, number one. Number two, that all suffering comes from desire. And number three, that suffering is overcome by eliminating desire. And then number four, eliminating desire is achieved by following an eightfold path. Too detailed for us to actually go through right now. But the part where all human desires are eliminated is a state of mind known as nirvana, right? So if you guys have heard the term nirvana, you've heard of the band, some of you, if you were born my day and age, well, this is kind of that state of getting to that place where all desire is gone and you have overcome all of those things, and now you're in nirvana. All right, number three is Muhammad in his teaching. He believes in Allah, which is their God, and he believes that Allah has many prophets, including Moses and Jesus. We sat down with a Muslim guy one time. He came to our house, and my mom and dad, he's actually a missionary, and he talked to us about how that Jesus was a great guy, right? And that Moses was a great person, and he talked about Allah being a prophet just like these guys, and was getting us to understand the mentality of those that are following the religion of Islam. And so he went through this, and they believe that Muhammad is the latest and the greatest, which is why they very much focus on who he was and what he said. The Quran, as you guys know, is their Bible, and there are many intermediate beings between Allah and people, some good and some bad. They believe that every person's deeds will be weighed someday to determine who did enough good stuff to warrant going to paradise. If not, you will go to torment for eternity. So in this religion, there is no grace. You've got to do enough. You've got to achieve enough. And this religion, as I stated before, is growing by leaps and bounds. There are more Muslims in the United States than Episcopalians. There are more Muslims in the U.S. than Jews. And did you know even in the UK, there are more Muslims there than evangelical Christians? That's how many Muslims. I remember even Denmark, my relatives came to the United States, and they told us even in Denmark how the Muslims are coming up from the south and overtaking their country of Denmark. It's a very interesting dynamic that they were telling you about. So that's that. Number 4, let's look at Joseph Smith and his teachings. This is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They teach that all of us, including Jesus and Lucifer, are spirit siblings. We are all children of God the